welcome to Simply Cards by Kathy. I'm Kathy Yondas, and happy Valentine's Day. Today is Tuesday, February 14th, 2023, and I am really excited to be here with you today because I'm going to show you a sneak peek of that new online exclusive that's coming out on March 1st. So I'm not going to do much talking because I have so much to show you and share with you. And I have two cards, and normally I only make one. But I had so much fun playing with this new bundle and playing with the dies that I thought we're going to take the time and make two. So I'm going to stop talking, flip this camera down, and we're going to get started. If you are with me live, welcome, and please leave me your name and a comment where you're from. I'd love to know where you're from. If you are returning with me, thank you so much for your support and helping me to grow my channel. And if you're on the replay, thank you for taking the time out of your day also to watch me. If you're new, I'm so glad you're here. Click that little subscribe button on the YouTube channel and ring that little bell, and you'll get notified when a new video goes up or when I'm live. Now, these are the two cards we're going to make. This is called the Irresistible Blooms Bundle, and I absolutely love it. I love the colors, and I love the designer series paper. I love paper that matches with the dies, that you can make some quick cards by doing die cuts to the paper, and that's what we're going to do today. So everything here on these cards are part of the new online exclusive. So I'm going to move these out of the way, and I just want to show you that quickly. This was available for pre-order to all demonstrators. So even anyone that joined during celebration beginning February 1st, you were able to order this as part of your starter kit if you wanted to. So this is just a small bit of what's going to be available on March 1st. Just a quick note, as of the beginning of this year, Stampin' Up! Kind of changed how they were going to release products. So now we're going to have product releases 6 times a year. We're going to have the annual catalog in May. We're going to have 2 mini catalogs. One we're having right now, January to April, and the next mini will be in September to December. But then we're going to have 3 online exclusive releases, one in March, one in July, and one in November. All of those online exclusives aren't going to be available in a catalog, but they are part of a larger collection. So what I'm showing you today is just a snippet or a few of the products that Stampin' Up's going to release March 1st. They allowed us to order early as a pre-order. But this is not all that will be available. There will be other products available at that time. Any of the online exclusives are not going to be found in a catalog. They're only in the online store. There won't be any end date to them. And some will be you'll be able to reorder they will reorder as stock runs low. And some of the products are only going to be available while they last. And this allows Stampin' Up! To offer new products more throughout the year. So this is part of that early release that we were allowed to order. So really beautiful stamp set and dies. I love the dies, and some pretty paper. We have some frosted dots, which we're going to use today. And then they have some of this gilded paper, and they're releasing 3 basic 3D embossing folders and an alphabet set that's called Classic Letters, and it's a stamp set. So these will be available to you with other products on March 1st. So I am going to bring all this in and let you see it, because you can see it much better in person. So this is the Irresistible Blooms stamp set. And you have these beautiful script fonts and some really great sentiments. And I love the flowers. I know we have a lot of flowers, and I have a very good friend that is a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator that says, Kathy, you have so much flowers. And I do, but this one reminded me of a gardenia. I don't know why it isn't, but it's what it reminded me of. So, and I really love it. So this is a cling stamp set. And you can see just a tip when you mount your cling stamps, if you peel that backing off, I put it in my stamp holder, and then I put my stamps in there and I know what's missing and make sure I have everything. So just a quick tip for that. Let's move this off, and I'm going to bring in the dies, and these are called the Irresistible Bloom dies. And look at some of these detailed dies. I love this one. We're using that today. These go, the 2 leaves and the 2 flowers and this little leaf here, these all go with the designer series paper that you can cut the paper out. So we are going to be using this one in a little bit, and I'm going to show you how to use that. Here's the designer series paper, and I'm just going to spread it out. It's just beautiful. Now, one of the fun things about this paper is that you'll see 2 old colors that we used to have. Lost Lagoon is in here, as well as Pretty Peacock, which means those 2 colors are coming back. So whether they're going to come back in March or they're going to come back with the new annual catalog and there's going to be a color refresh, we're going to have to wait and see. So some really beautiful designs. Now, I want to show you, and the reason I pulled these out, these 5, we're using this one, but these 4, sorry, all fit with the dies that we have with this bundle. And you can cut all of these images out, which is what I did for the cards that we're making today. So you can see that they fit, and they really pretty designs. Now let me flip these over for you, and you can see we have a lot of watercolor backgrounds, but even some watercolor backgrounds with patterns. This is one of the ones we're going to be using today on our first card, and then we are using these 3 on our second card. So let's move those off, and then I told you I had lots to share with you. And then here's some of the other papers from this. So you get 12 different designs that are double-sided. You get 4 sheets of each for a total of 48 sheets. And we have not only Lost Lagoon and Pretty Peacock, but we have Mint Macaron, we have Flirty Flamingo, we have Daffodil Delight. So just a really pretty colors. And again, some splatter with watercolor. So a really fun designer series paper set. Now, quickly, I'm going to bring in those 3D embossing folders. This is one I'm using today in both cards, and it almost looks like a hashtag. I'm hoping you can see that. And I did shut off one of the lights, thinking the glare would make it, if I took the glare away, it'd be easier to see. This one almost looks like little flowers overlapping, really pretty. And then this one is dots, and I know that one's easy to see. So we're going to be using the one that looks like a hashtag. So let's bring in our first card, and we're going to get started. So the first card we're going to make today is this one. Now, all of the measurements are going to be in a link that you'll be able to find, will be in a link right down below the video. I will have that posted most likely later today, but no later than 10 a.m. tomorrow. And that link is on my website, www.simplycards is with a K, by Kathy.com. So let's do this one, and I have a lot pre-cut for us. So we are starting off with a half a sheet of basic black. We have a 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. I'm going to go ahead and fold this on the score line. and we're going to burnish it with our bone folder. Now, I am going to use a piece of paper to burnish it to cover that fold, because I don't know if you've ever noticed, if you run your bone folder across a dark color, oftentimes you'll get a sheen or a shine in that area where you have, that's my pup in the background with his bone. Sorry about that. So you'll get a sheen to that area. So if you cover it with a piece of paper, you won't get that. Now, this is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And you can see, hopefully, that this one has that hashtag appearance. Let me see if I can get that. There you go, for you with that 3D embossing folder. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to adhere this. I'm going to use my multi-purpose glue, because when I am working with when I'm working with my cardstock that I've embossed, I find my glue adheres better because you have all the little crevices from the embossing, and it kind of gets in there and helps to hold it down. That's just personal preference. So we're going to go ahead and put this on here. I hope you had a great weekend, and that you were able to have some time for family or crafting, something that you enjoy doing that helped you to relax and have a good time. Life is so busy and people are always rushing around that we all need something to kind of help us take our mind off things. Okay, so here's our front. So I'm going to bring out the rest of our pieces and parts. Now, this is a piece of basic black, and this is going to be like a banner on the front of our card. This is 2 1/4 by 5 3/8. And I cut a piece of that designer series paper, and this is Flirty Flamingo with Daffodil Delight. I cut that, and this is 5 1/4 by 2 1/8. So we're going to adhere this onto our basic black, and then we're going to pop that on, or adhere it, glue it on to the front of our card. So if you like this set and thinking of taking advantage of the great value of joining Stampin' Up! During celebration, all of this is something that you can have as part of your starter kit, which is a great value. You know, right now you can join $99 and pick out $175 worth of products, which is just phenomenal to me. So let's go ahead and we're going to put this down. Now I want to bring in and show you, remember I said you can cut the flowers and the leaves out of the designer series paper, which is exactly what I did. And you have dies for all of these. So I cut mine out, and I'll be doing some more cutting later today. And we're going to pull one out. But just so you can see, look at the dyed cut images that you have. I keep mine in a Stampin' Up! Envelope, and I keep them with my designer series paper. That way I know that they're there for me when I need them, and I don't have to worry about them. Even the little leaves, look at that. You have a die to cut those out. So what we're going to do is, I want to keep that pink one out here. Let's pull that back out. Ugh. Sticking to the plastic. We're going to use this one. Hi, Dixie. Good morning. Happy Valentine's Day. And I am so glad that you're with me, especially since you're excited about these new releases. I love it. So we're going to use that. And then for my greeting, I wanted to play on the black outline. So for this, I used the Something Fancy dies. Let me just bring those out to show you. These are in the new mini catalog. I used the smaller one for the white, and I used the next larger one for the black because I'm going to matte them. I like the look of the matting because I think it kind of just makes your greeting stand out a little bit. So we're going to, rather than stamp this, we're going to heat emboss this using our Versamark ink and our black embossing powder. So I'm going to bring in a piece of paper here. And I've already mounted my stamps, and we're using Thank You. Isn't that script beautiful? And we're going to bring in our Versamark. And I'm going to bring in my embossing buddy. I love this little thing. This is also in our available online. It helps to take the oils from your hands or anything off the paper, and so that when you do put your embossing powder on, you don't have speckles of powder all over the place. And it works really, really well. The only problem for me is remembering to grab it and use it. So let's go ahead and we're going to stamp this, and it says thank you. Okay, and I'm going to bring in my black embossing powder. And I'm just going to wipe it away. This didn't cover very well, and I'm not really sure why. So I'm going to recut this, or I'm just going to turn it over. Let's do that. And we're going to move that aside, and let's use this embossing buddy again. I probably just didn't have enough ink on it. And I'm going to re-ink it. Okay. And I'm going to just put this here, and we're just going to add a little bit more. Now, I always tend to make a mess with this. That looks much better. Now, you might have just a few little flecks here, and you have this great brush. I also give it a light tap to get anything off of there. So before we use our heat gun and turn on that power of the blower, I'm going to put this back in here. All right, and we should be good. So I'm going to turn on my heat gun, and I know it's going to be noisy for a minute. I'm going to hold it off to the side here and let it heat up. And then just go ahead and I hold it 5 to 6 inches above until I see that the black, if you can see that, starts to change and get shiny. And then I tend to move it right along. Until it's all shiny there. And you can see that now. And we're going to go ahead and adhere this onto our black mat or background. And then let's get that on, and we're going to pop it up on our card. Now, when you're doing the heat embossing, it is important not to overheat it. If you overheat it, it flattens out and it can dull. You can also burn your paper. So just a quick tip there. Now I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Dimensionals, and I always tend to cut mine in half. I feel like they go further for me. And I do have a scissors that I use only for adhesives, because they do get sticky. And I'm just going to put one on each corner and one in the middle, and then we're going to pop this up. So I hope you have some fun plans for Valentine's Day. We don't. We're just going to be home. And we're going to pop this in right. I'm going to go a little bit lower and pop it in right about here. And I just want a little bit of my Flirty Flamingo to show here on the side. So that looks good. Now, we said we were going to take our flower and somewhere here, and I want to lay this so that it's overlapping on my greeting. So I'm not going to put a dimensional here, but I'm going to put one here, here, and on the side, on the top. So let's go ahead and do that. This is just such a fun stamp set. Now, I do want to hold down where it is going to overlay right here on my greeting. So I'm just going to take a mini glue dot. Okay. And just going to pick one up right here. So just going to go there. And it would help if I took off my backing from my Stampin' Dimensionals. My brain is just flying with all the thoughts to tell you about all of this. So I'm really not thinking. Now, to kind of dress the flower up, I'm going to bring in these new loose frosted dots, and let me bring these out for you. These are Flirty Flamingo, Daffodil Delight, and Pretty Peacock. So we're going to pick up the Daffodil Delight one to put in the center. Now, these do not have adhesive on the back of them, so you do have to use your glue. So move this in here so you can see it light-handedly, a small dot, and then just simply put your dot on there, give it a gentle press. And so far, there's one. Let's add another one. Let's put one here, since we have a flower here in the center. And we're going to put a larger one right here. So I'm just going to drop my glue down there. And then let's get a small one for the flower here. Okay, so here's the front of our card. Now let's do the inside. So for the inside, we have a piece of basic white. And this is, again, 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. I do try to keep them so that they're the same size as on the outside. And I cut a 3/8 inch strip of the front of this paper to put on the edge. So we're going to go ahead and adhere that. I do cut mine a little bit longer so that I can trim it off. I'd rather have it a little longer than too short. And we're going to go ahead and just move it off to the side and adhere it down. And then I just flip it over and I take my scissors that I use for adhesive and trim it off. Now I want to show you something that you can do with these half pieces. So I'm going to dump some of these out here. And with these little pieces, you can use them to decorate here on your side. So with this one, what I did is I'm going to glue it across the top here, just so we have a floral image. And I'm going to put the glue down. Whoops. And I want to make sure to cover the top corner of my inside of layer. And then I'm going to flip it over. And again, with this scissors that I have for adhesives, I'm going to go ahead and trim this off. And just a little way to kind of decorate the corner of your card. So let's go ahead, and I still have some of the black embossing powder floating around here. And we're going to glue this down. And then our first card is done. Okay, so here's our first card. So with the Irresistible blooms. So let's go ahead and we're going to make the second card. I'm going to get rid of some of this embossing powder. So let's set this one off, and we're going to bring in this second card. Now with the second card, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to use that hashtag embossing folder on basic white. But if you look at the greeting is actually stamped onto the embossed paper. So, but we're going to do that ahead of time and then emboss our paper. So let's go ahead and bring this card in. And we've got our pieces parts here. And again, we're using Flirty Flamingo. I'm going to dump all this out. Okay, and 5.5 by 8.5, same measurements, scored at 4 1/4. And go ahead and we're going to fold into the heel. And we are going to burnish. Okay, now we're going to take basic white. This one is 4 by 5 1/4. So before we emboss it, we're going to stamp our greeting. For our greeting, I'm using the Tuxedo Black Memento ink, and I'm going to use the word hello. So I'm going to ink up my stamp. And I'm just going to come down here in the corner and stamp. And now we're ready to run this through the cut and emboss machine. So I am going to do that. Let's pull in our embossing folder. For anyone that may be new to using an embossing folder, you have these lines right here to line it up. So I'm simply going to do that. I'm going to put it in here. And because this is a 3D, Let me show you. Again, if you're new, you're going to use plate number 1. Put your embossing folder down. You always want the fold of the embossing folder to go through that cut and emboss machine first. If it doesn't, you run the risk of cracking your embossing folder. And believe me, I have done that before, not paying attention. And then use plate number 4, and I'm going to go right behind me and run this through, and I'll be right back. Okay, let's see how that turned out for us. So here you have your greeting already on there, and look, you can see, hopefully you can see the embossing, and you're already stamped your greeting. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to adhere this to the front of our card. Hi, Pam, welcome. I'm hearing lots of people really looking forward to this release, and I have to tell you, I think this is one of my absolute favorite stamp sets. I just love the paper, and the more I play with this stamp set, the more I love it. And I'm excited to see, you know, we don't know what the rest of the releases are. They don't tell us. So I'm excited to see what the other parts are going to be, what else is coming out. So here's the front of our card. Now, on this card, remember I said we were going to use this die. And it's a pretty intricate die, very thin pieces. When I made this the other day, I glued this down. And it was a little challenging. So today I thought, let's try using our adhesive backed paper on the designer series paper and see if that makes it easier, because these are all connected and they kind of spread apart like an accordion. I love it, but it was a little challenging to do with the glue. But this also gives me a chance to show you how to use the adhesive back paper for anyone that's new to it. So I've cut a piece. I believe this is 2¼ inches by 6. I left it the 6 inches, and the same for the adhesive back paper. I'm going to go ahead and peel off the backing, and I'm just going to adhere this to the back. Wait a minute. I'm adhering it to the wrong side. I turned it over. We're going to adhere it to the back here of our designer series paper. Okay, now we can go ahead and run this through. And I'm just going to take a piece of tape. I'm going to reach above. I use just the Post-it note tape because it comes off really easy, but I want to adhere this. So I'm going to run this through my cut and emboss machine and bring it back for you to see before I remove it. In fact, I'm going to bring in my mini cut and emboss so you can kind of be with me as we do it. Let's move this out of the way. If you are using the mini, you have a plate number 1 and then plate number 2. And we're going to set this right on. Let me move this so you can see. And then we're going to go ahead and add another plate number 2. And we're going to run this through. So we're kind of experimenting here because I haven't used the adhesive backing with this die yet. So let's remove my piece of tape here. And let's get rid of the plates because heaven knows I have enough on my desk here. So when you cut it, this is what comes out, but you have all of these little pieces, parts. So we're going to end up kind of just pushing them out. And if you just go within the die, they come out easy, but you're going to get a lot of other pieces and parts with it, like that. So you want to be gentle because these are really thin. Let's make sure we get all of the pieces out of here. And then I think you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. I just use my take your pick tool. If you have something similar, you can use that and push your pieces out. So here's our die cut. Let's get all this kind of out of the way because it's a mess. So here's what you have to work with. So you can see it kind of comes apart, which makes it kind of hard to glue down. So I'm going to go ahead, and I did not trim this off before I cut. So what I am going to do is come right along here, and I'm just going to come along and make a mark so I know where to cut. And I'm going to bring in my snips, and I'm going to cut right along there. You can So if you cut the paper to the right size before you do this, you won't have to do that. So now let's peel off our backing, and it should peel off pretty easy. I'm going to start right here because it gives me a little bit more to work with, and I'm trying not to get my head in the camera, so bear with me here. There we go. Might work better this way. And remember, I said this was an experiment, so. Normally, this backing comes off very easily. There we go. There we go. And I'm just going to peel it back a little bit more so I can get a hold of it. And then I'm just gently going to pull back. And we'll see. In the end, this may not have been the better way to do it. And you can see it is pulling back. I'm just trying to be really careful because this is so fragile. There we go. So it's a great die. I love it. But I think it'll end up being what works best for you, whether the glue or the adhesive back paper. I actually found that the glue, I had so much on my hands that as I was trying to glue it down, it was sticking to my hands more than it was to the paper. Okay. So I'm going to start by putting this first one down, and let's just see how this goes. Again, like I said, this wasn't something I did before we got on, so I had used glue and thought maybe this would be great to try with the adhesive backing. So there we go. Maybe not. So, because it really isn't coming off very well. And I'm sorry about this. Let's try cutting another one and see, or just using this and let's put glue on it. So I'm going to bring in a fine tip glue because this, I thought this would work easier, but it really did not. So I have a fine tip glue here, and I'm going to get off my card and I'm going to bring in a silicone mat. And I'm just going to add some glue to the dots. And I'm not even going to peel off that adhesive back paper because I don't want to rip this. And this may be the easiest way to do this. So you'll learn. That's part of crafting. You'll learn as you go along what works and what may not. And if you learn by watching me make the mistakes, then you're likely not to make them yourself. So this is what I was talking about. Even though I love this die, you have to be careful that it doesn't overlap and stick to itself. You want to make sure you get a little bit on each end because otherwise it does not stick well to the card. But it's easy enough with a fine glue that you can go back and add to it. Okay, so I'm going to pick this up and I'm actually going to use my tweezers here. And let's see how this is going to go. If I use my tweezers, I'm not pulling on it and stretching it out. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere just one end at a time. Now, when this crosses over, I can go over and kind of move in and move that over. Same with this. Okay, we may have found a cure for that, huh? And then I'm going to adhere this down. So it's a beautiful die. I love it, and I will be using it a lot. But you have to kind of work to figure out how to tweak it so it works for you. And you may be luckier with the adhesive than I was. So I'm just going to come in here now and I'm going to trim these off. Okay, and then I'm just going to make sure I adhere them back down. There we go. All right, that was painful, but we got through it. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to use these flowers. And I've cut the flowers, I showed you that earlier, from the paper. And we're just going to make an arrangement. I took a dark pink, I took a light pink, and we have a yellow here. Let's pull our yellow out. Right here. So I want to adhere them with the Stampin' Dimensionals. So we're going to bring those back in. And I'm going to start with my pink one. I'm going to put that up in here because I want contrasting colors. I want the yellow to be where the pink is and the pink to be where the yellow is. So let's start with that. And I'm going to go ahead and pop some of these dimensionals on. Now I'm going to use the bigger dimensionals because I'm not going to add as many because I want to be able to fit the leaves in between the flowers. So let's go ahead with that. I hope you have some fun plans for the week. If you enjoyed the video, I would love if you'd give me a thumbs up and help me grow my channel. And feel free to share the video. That also helps me to grow my channel. Now we're going to go ahead and add this one here, and I want it to overlap. So I'm only going to put my dimensionals on these three sides. And let's see. these off. And this is going to overlap onto here. Now, if you're worried about this, and actually I'm going to take another half of a dimensional and pop that in underneath here. And I'm just going to do that with my pick tool. And that holds it down a little bit. Now let's put our third one down. And this one is this is kind of a combination of the Flirty Flamingo and the yellow. And this one's going to overlap here. So we're going to just put our dimensionals on this back side here. So let's do that. Thank you for sticking through with me through that little bit of trying the adhesive back paper. I'm going to have to work on that and see if I can figure that out a little better for that die. I'm going to take a mini glue dot and I'm going to pick it up where it's going to attach to those flowers, and that'll just kind of secure it and hold it down. So this one's going to go right here. Now we have 2 leaves, and I want to, I'm going to put the big one down here. So we're going to use dimensionals on that one again. Now, the nice thing about cutting these in half is they fit very nicely with the leaves. And I'm going to go ahead and add another one here. And let's see. I want to slide this in. Let's put the big one up here. I think I like it better there in that corner. And let's go with this smaller one down here. So I'm just going to do the same. And then we're going to use those frosted glue dots again on the front because I really like those. And I am going to take a half one and put it right down in here to help hold that up. But then I still have the end to be able to slide in so that it fits nicely. So here's the front of our card. And we'll add these when we finish the inside. So for the inside, I have another 4 by 5 1/4. And with this, I thought I'd use the greeting from the stamp set that says, "I couldn't be happier to have you as my friend." I thought that went really well with the hello. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to use the Tuxedo Black Memento ink. And we're going to go ahead and stamp that up here towards the front. Top. What do I mean? Front. Okay, now we can use those half flowers again to decorate, or we can cut a strip of one of the designer series paper. I'm going to use the half flower, and I thought it'd be pretty to put one in each corner. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'm just going to glue them on. I like to use the paper if I can. And I hate wasting it. I really, really like it. So I've kind of come up with this to use these partial images on the inside of the card. And I just put them right along the edge. Okay, and we're ready to adhere this to our inside. So here's our inside. And let's add some of these glue dots. I think they'd be pretty to add along on the dots here, just to give it a little bit of interest. So why don't we put one here? I'm going to put the glue down. And let's put maybe one here. And then let's do one over here. Okay, so I've dropped my glue down, and that's okay because it's not going to dry before I get these on. And I'm just going to pick up my dots. And again, for me, the easiest way is to pick them up with the putty end of my pick tool. And then let's do a flirty flamingo down here. And then I'm going to put a flirty flamingo over by this yellow flower. Okay. So here are our two cards. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Again, thank you thank you, Shirley. Thank you, Pam. I hope you enjoyed today's video. And if you did, again, I'd love a thumbs up to help me grow my channel. Feel free to share. I will have a PDF tutorial on my website. The link will be right down below the video by later today, no later than 10 a.m. tomorrow, where you can download it and keep it or print it to make these cards. If you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I would love to have the opportunity to earn your business. If you need a catalog, please hit that contact button and send me an email, and I'd be happy to send you a catalog. You have a great day. We'll be playing with this set again. I have some other great ideas to share with you. And I will be back with you on Friday at 11 a.m. Have a great week and happy Valentine's Day, everybody.